All right, welcome back to the Maladjusted Monkeys. We're continuing to use the new studio. Shane, we're back.
Mate, it's working a treat.
Well, you promised that.
You know me, I'm a perfectionist. I like things to be working properly.
Oh no, well let's see if this one will actually work properly. Let's see if we can get a full video recording as well. Apologies for our last episode. You may have noticed that at 35 minutes in, if you're watching it on YouTube, that it does cut out. That's because the brand new camera that Shane bought can't record for more than half an hour.
Well, it wasn't bought for the podcast. It was just going to be a cheeky bonus. But that's all right. We'll go back to the tried and tested.
Yeah, the new phone. It's working well. Mate, we've got a special guest today. He's someone... Well, how long have you worked with him now?
What,
2 years?
2 years.
2 years?
Yeah.
2 years. I've just met him today. We get along swimmingly. Joel Crowe, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Mate, pleasure. Obviously, with all our military guests, can you tell us a bit about your military experience?
Sure.
When did you enlist?
Yeah, we like to start.
enlisted.
Actually, yes. First of all, when did you enlist, and then why did you enlist? I love hearing these stories.
So I enlisted in 2006, and I enlisted because I was drunk, saw an army ad, and I was going down a bad path in my life where everyone around me was like going to jail and stuff.
And you wanted to
and
continue
I was drunk,
that.
and I was like, so a friend and I, we were both like, oh, we should join the army, and I got in, he didn't, and here we are. So,
what does he do now?
I don't know. I don't talk to him. So.
Perfect. So 06. Okay, so you obviously went in, did your training. When you joined, did you know what career path you wanted?
Yeah, so I joined as a firey,
as
a firefighter. However, when I was at IETs, they were like, it's an 8-month wait for your firefighter course, and I was like, oh, fine, I'll just dig ditches and fuck bitches. Can I say that? I don't know.
You can say whatever you want on this.
So,
your ditch challenge.
So I just stayed as a combat engineer, and 15, almost 15 years on.
Yep.
Still in, getting med discharge though, so body's a bit broken from all those years, I suppose.
After you finished your IETs, what was your first unit?
I went to 3CR, which is up in Townsville.
Yeah.
Which was pretty good. I asked to go there because a lot of my family was in Townsville.
Yeah.
And I wanted to become a paratrooper. And
gross again.
Naturally.
But
Yep.
And so I went there, got there. I spent 7 years in Townsville. I did become a paratrooper there, which I quickly realised I don't like jumping out of planes.
Yeah.
And I've been jumping out of planes since, and it sucks.
You're an idiot.
So 7 years there. Then I went to Holsworthy for 4 or 5 years, and now I'm in Brisbane now for 2 years. But on my way out of the army. So
a couple of trips.
No, so I didn't get to go to Afghan. Mm-hmm. I got demoted and
what did you do?
And charged.
Oh, gee.
So I was in Papua New Guinea, and we weren't allowed to drink, and I got caught drinking, and so they took me off the Afghan trip. And 3CR only went to
What
Afghan.
year was that?
2010.
Oh, okay.
And 3CR only went to Afghan twice in my 8 years there, so...
Oh, really?
7 years there, yeah.
Yep.
And that was when I first rocked up. It was there was already a trip. They'd already had the guys and they were going, and then the trip in 2011. So yeah.
All right. So seven years at 3CR, and then where'd you go after that?
A place called SOA, it's Special Operation Engineer Regiment.
That's special.
Which I had fun there, which is good. Did some cool stuff. We did all this stuff you actually think you're going to do in the army.
Yeah.
Yep. When you're in regular army, I didn't do anything what I signed up to do.
Yeah.
So I got to do that stuff, and now 20 AD.
Which is obviously where we've met and where we still work. But like you alluded to before, you're on the way out.
Yes. My body's stuffed. My back is so stuffed. I can't stand up for more than a couple of hours without having to stretch out, roll out.
Yep.
So give us a list. What ails you?
Which body part do you want me to start on?
Start from the lower body, work your way out. Like a warm up in PT, mate.
So I tore all the ligaments in my ankle, which hold the two bones together. So now I've got a thing called tightrope keeping my bones together. So that's in there permanently. I just had an operation on my knee for a meniscal repair. which there's still something wrong there. So they're about to put some nerve blockers in there so I can stop feeling pain. I just also had a shoulder op, bicep tendinopathy, because I tore the bicep from the shoulder, not the whole bicep, but because that's massive.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah,
very swole.
That was only a couple of months ago, so I'm still doing rehab for that. And then my spine, so I've got osteoarthritis in the facet joints. I've got 2 bulging discs. One of the discs is so dehydrated that it's almost non-existent and torn in half. I've got a lumbar spondylosis, thoracic spondylosis. What else is wrong with it? Yeah, there's some more wrong with it. I just can't remember off the top of my head. So
Christ.
I'm sorry, your injuries are not service related.
Yeah. It was the first one, the knee I first injured when I went to Timor in 2007, 2008. I did that jumping out of the back of a mog, and just had dramas with it since. So, yeah. And then obviously pack marching for the past 15 years.
Yeah.
It's done my back.
Yep.
Yeah, it'll build up.
So your decision to leave the military is it your decision, or are they basically saying
no? So they gave me the option. So our work has been super supportive with me, like with my mental health, because I've also got mental health injuries, if that's what we call it. The work has been super supportive, but they offered that for me to hang around for another couple of years. There's another guy at work who was doing that.
So we've got like a training certification cell which kind of just deals with organising the exercises and developing training scenarios for the guys.
You did that for a bit,
yeah.
I'm doing it now, but they have offered
not as well as me, but he's strong.
Yeah. They offered me to hang around for the next couple of years to sort that out, but mentally I think I'm ready to go, start a new chapter in life while I'm still young enough. So I'm going to travel Australia in a decked out van and do a podcast on the road, which was, I got the idea from a podcast.
Wait,
from
what? You trying to compete with us?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
It's about
Kill his mic.
obviously mine will be better, but
We don't have a bus to tour.
I think you'll have us, mate. You'll probably just do your show more regularly.
I'm being nice. Sorry to our listeners.
which is going to be called The Wandering Digger. So everyone, just Google that. You can't Google it right now, but because it doesn't exist yet. But but it will.
You've only just bought.
I've only just bought the mics on the weekend.
Yeah.
Just started playing around with the intros, downloading all the programs, and figuring that out.
Yeah.
So it's getting there, and I've got artwork being done for me at the moment.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully you improve yours quicker than we have. It's 2.5 years, and we're only at this point now. We're still fucking around with the sound levels, for God's sake.
Luckily for you, you won't have a co-host writing you constantly. He's got no idea how hard it is to do this stuff.
That's fair. I have spoken with him today. It's pretty difficult. So that's my life story, I suppose.
Yep. So obviously the injuries, you want to, have helped prompt you to want to start a life outside the military. The mental health issues. Can you talk a bit about that?
So I've been diagnosed with major depressive disorder and anxiety something.
Hey,
Friends?
And that's come from a range of things. It's not specifically even though when I was in Timor, we did see a couple of things that weren't quite kosher, but it's more from my time in the army and like being sent away from my daughter for the past 7 years has been a big thing for me. When you get injured, so my injuries have played a massive role in my mental health because I haven't been able to do the job that I want to do, and then you get all the people at work judging you. Well, you feel like they're judging you, which played on my mental health a fair bit. So at the beginning of the year, I didn't attempt suicide, but it was definitely a big. Yeah, I don't know. I just finished writing letters to my daughter, to the people I love, my parents, and everything.
Yep.
And I'd just been out drinking with my best mate and my girlfriend, and I lived on the 28th floor, and I just finished writing letters saying why I was going to jump off the balcony.
Yep.
And my mate, thank God, he's one of my best mates. He sort of figured it out, and he left and he went and grabbed some. He rang the ambulance, and then when he was downstairs waiting for him, 3 cops were walking past, and the cops came up and and had a chat with me.
And
And
you
then,
just grabbed them like they weren't there for the... Oh,
they weren't there for that, and they came up to the thing, had a chat with me, and took me to hospital.
good mate.
Yeah.
Bloody good mate.
Yeah. The biggest thing I remember is my girlfriend at the time, because I'd figured I didn't know where my mate had gone. I was like, where's Jack? And she was like crying, and she was like, I don't want you to hate me because I love you. And I was like, what has happened? And then it clipped me that Jack had gone to get help.
Yeah.
And so that was a big, it resonated with me. Like, it hurt
Yeah.
deep down. But yeah. And then, so this year I've been struggling, like I've been put on the antidepressants. I felt like I've been doing really good this year. I had a little bit of slip up mid-year where I went back to the hospital. So I spent 6 weeks at the beginning of the year at Belmont Private, and then another 2 weeks mid-year.
How did you find that program? Did you get a lot out of it? Are you glad you did it? Would it be something that if someone was going through a similar thing that you'd recommend, or?
So there's a hospital at Green Slopes, I think, that is more army related.
Mm-hmm.
I went the Belmont Private. I was probably the only army person there, so I had no one to, like, people. Everyone was there for depression or whatever they were there for, so I could talk to them about that, but not like service related stuff.
Yeah.
So what I did get out of it, the courses I didn't really do anything, but what I did learn is mindfulness.
Yep.
And mindfulness has been a huge saving grace this year because I practice it all the time now, and I feel better for it. Like even just meditating.
So how do you, I guess, like what does that practically look like for you? Is that, so like I know for me, like when I was doing a bit of research into that stuff, like one of the things I do is like just like feel, focus on like textures and things like that.
I like to look at trees.
Yep.
Like look at trees, notice the different colours, the different shades, the different depth of like how far away trees are.
Yeah.
The feel, I've done the feel before, like holding a minty.
Yeah.
And then you put the minty in your mouth and then you taste it.
So really it's kind of like, essentially what you're doing is you're focusing, trying to put all your concentration into very like tactile or visual stimulus, which kind of...
Being in the here and the now. I can feel,
that's
I can
a kind
hear.
of byproduct of that because it's a sort of way of triggering your mind into focusing on something else.
Yeah. Yep.
It's really worked well. And the second biggest thing I took out of it is carrying a notepad. I write everything down. This is probably my third notepad since mid-year. And I just literally write everything down.
Yep.
Any idea, doesn't matter how silly or stupid it is, and then I'll flick back through it at the end of the week. And like I've got one sitting next to my bed. I've got this one that I walk around with. I've got one in my computer bag. I've got one at work. And the notepad has just been, because it focuses my attention, I suppose.
And the physical act of writing
exactly.
as well.
You could have easily takes it off my head or my shoulders.
Yeah.
Like, especially because I struggle to sleep. So if I'm struggling, because my mind just races a million miles an hour, I'm always trying to improve stuff at work. Like I'm very, at work, you'd call me like the CBRN.
So
chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear, because that was my old job.
Yep.
So I'm very focused around that and trying to create this new 20UD's trying to take on this new mandate around the CBR world, and me having the knowledge there, I'm writing the SOPs for it and trying to create this.
So the standard operating procedures, how we go about doing certain jobs, and how that kind of rolls and plays out.
Like I just did the all the new equipment coming in. I decided what us at the unit need, what we don't need, and so I'm constantly thinking like that. So I've just got to write everything down.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I'll lay in bed for 3 hours thinking about new things.
Yeah.
But if I write it down...
That's what I was going to say, back to like the physical act of writing. Like you could easily use your phone, put it in there. But there's something about like the old school, physically writing things down and like having a book, something you can touch, feel, And
I'm going to keep them all. Every notepad, I'm going to keep them all. I could be 80 years old and I'll look back at what I thought when I was 32 and be like, you should have done that. You would have been a millionaire. Because I've got about 300,000 ideas in there that are all going to make me money, but I probably won't ever do any of them. So,
I wanted just to go back what you were saying before where, you'd written the letters to your daughters and your friend went downstairs. Was that the first time when like the police and the ambos came out? Was that the first time that you actually got help? Like the first step? Yeah. Well, are you able to, if you're comfortable, talk us through what happened when your friend came back upstairs and the ambos were there? Are you comfortable talking about that?
Yeah. So I was sitting, like, the missus pulled me, and we were sitting on the couch, and that's when I saw her face, and literally as she said that, don't hate me, like, I love you, this is for your best, and it clicked to me what happened. Literally, my mate walked in with 3 cops, and I was like, here we fucking go.
Yeah.
And
start taking your shirt off.
The cops, the police, they were just like, hey man, we're here to, how you doing? Like, what's happening? And I felt super embarrassed. Like, I was super embarrassed. And I think I just started crying, super embarrassed. I was like, oh, I'm not like this, I'm stronger than this. And they're like, hey man, don't worry. Like, so I think there was a girl and 2 guys, and they were like, happens to the best of us. And so we spoke about it, then the ambos came and took me to hospital.
Yep.
But I didn't hate my mate for getting them.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, thanks, Jack.
Yep.
He could have saved my life.
Yeah.
Like, because it was really going through my head at that time.
Yeah.
I was going to do that. I don't know if I would have done it, but at the time, I was going to do it.
When you've gone through the process of writing out that letter,
Especially because I was trying to hide it. Like, I didn't tell anyone I was writing the letter or anything.
Yeah.
I was just doing it. I've still got the letters at home. I haven't read them, but
Yeah.
but I've still got them. So it's just so if I ever get into that bad situation again, I can look back and read it and be like, and try and, because I've learnt lessons from that. Move on. But yeah.
In that moment when, the ambos took you to hospital, did you know where these feelings were coming from at the time? Or you just had them and,
So what I didn't know is I'd been depressed for a couple of years.
Yeah.
I had a massive drinking problem, gambling problem. I'd been away from my daughter for so long. I felt like I was a shit dad. So for years I was going down this sleddy downhill, and then I got the doctor's like, your back's fucked. You can't be in the army anymore, or you can't be an engineer anymore. And I was like, well, if I can't be an engineer, they're like, but I didn't know what to do, because I've just spent 14 years doing one job, getting better and better, and that was my future. And then all of a sudden, you've just cut my legs out from under me, and I didn't know what to do. I was just completely lost with myself, and I did, and I think that was like the final straw, where something I cracked.
Yeah, I mean, mate, for people who haven't been in defence or emergency services and work in those industries before, it's more than, I guess, just a career. Like we've said so many times, it's a culture. It's working with your best mates and every day, like essentially like brothers and sisters, and you get so close with those people. It's not necessarily missing. You're not going to miss the job necessarily, though there are some amazing and fun aspects to it and amazing things you get to do. It's losing that connection to the people you've grown so close to.
And I just didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do, and it's because I didn't know what to do.
Yeah. How long did you have to stay at hospital?
6 weeks the first time.
Wait, so this is like after that night when the...
Oh, sorry. They sent me straight to the Royal Brisbane. There's like a mental ward there, and then from there, I got sent to Inogra Hospital, and then like the next day I was in Belmont.
Oh wow!
Okay,
yeah,
pretty quick.
Yeah, which was because I wasn't de facto or anything with my partner at the time, and then she had no idea what was happening. She didn't know the army process at all. So it was a bit of a shock, and then,
So from the moment that basically you're being told that you can't be in the army anymore, that's like we said, a massive shock, and you don't even know what to do. Can you remember when you kind of started going, okay, I'm looking forward to the next chapter now? Is there a defining moment where you went, you know what, that's okay, I can leave that behind?
Yep. That was this year. That was probably in the middle of COVID. I was still like a bit depressed. Like the antidepressants and that were helping, but I was just doing research. I was like, all right, if I am to leave, what can I do?
Yeah.
And I was just Googling things and like just business opportunities and stuff like that. And then I found some like how to start online businesses. So I started doing research into that. And then all of a sudden I realized that there's more to me than army me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, because I didn't for my whole life, I'd only known army me.
Yeah.
It was the uniform or, well, drunk.
Yeah.
the uniform or drunk.
Yeah.
And I wanted to find out who that was, and I think it was that mindfulness that started doing that mindfulness. I started getting a little bit more spiritual.
Yeah.
I'm not like a I don't, yeah.
One of those.
No, not like that.
You know what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I started to get a little bit more spiritual. Started noticing who I am, and I just wanted to figure that out.
Yep.
I still am figuring it out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Still have. Look, at the end of the day, I still really don't know what I want to do. All I know is that I want to help people.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, like, I'm looking at becoming a DVA advocate.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, and not so like I'll do it full time.
Yeah.
But so I can help out like people that I work with or whatever with their stuff.
Yeah.
I just want to help where I can at the moment.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going on the pension, and if I'm going on the pension, then I've got the time to help out other veterans that have suffered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be PTSD. It can be depression. It can be like physical injuries. It can be anything. Like I just want to help while I can.
Yeah, because a lot of people have got, still have a lot of issues with DVA, and they've got a bit of a stigma about them. I guess how they used to handle cases, but I feel like they've come a long way, and that's just from my own point of view with who I've dealt with through DVA. I was quite fortunate, I guess, that the person I did get was like incredibly knowledgeable and went out of his way to make sure that I understood the process and what needed to happen. And so
my DVA,
it helps a lot having someone who actually cares enough to like walk you through it and explain it properly.
Yeah. So I did it all myself to begin with. It was the middle of COVID, and I did it over a couple of bottles of red wine, put it in my claims. I have an advocate. He hasn't been the greatest advocate. I hope he doesn't listen. I feel like I've got more done myself, which is why I've started like, maybe I can do this at a more permanent job.
Yeah.
But my DVA delegate, so the person who works for DVA and is going through all my claims, they've been amazing.
Yeah.
Like they've been absolutely amazing. Every time I've spoken to DVA, they've been helpful, polite. Like you always hear about people in defence and DVA. They're like, oh, fuck DVA and all this. But I haven't had any of that drama.
No.
So that's been amazing.
I think you've also got to like, I know, it takes a long time. Mine took almost a year from woe to go to get done, but you've got to understand like they're experiencing like the highest rate of claims concurrently,
especially when
COVID.
Well, especially when things like tinnitus, which pretty much everyone's got.
Yeah.
But everyone's realised that they can put in for that. It's going to get accepted. So everyone's done that.
Because they've done a lot of work, DVA, to, get the word out about, the process and how...
Because my claim's still going through.
Yeah.
I'm having issues at the moment. Like they're doing it, it's just taking a while.
Yeah.
And there's always seems to be another step.
Yeah.
And as frustrated as I get, I'm like, at least I'm progressing still.
Yeah, it'll eventually, it will get there eventually.
And you always have that, whenever they ring it, it's not the case, but have that stigma of, they're trying to fucking get me. You know what I mean? Or they're trying to, do something.
Yeah.
But really, like,
they're trying to cheat me out of it.
But they're like actually trying to help you.
Yeah, and I think it does.
Well, the first conversation I had with DVA, they said, I was like, oh, look, I don't know what I'm supposed to claim or whatever. And they said, claim everything, because at the end of the day, it's your future. Like it's your body being looked after in 20 years time, 30 years time. They said, we want you to put in heaps of claims, as long as they're legit, real claims.
Yeah.
You're not just claiming stuff to get money or whatever. As long as they're legit, real claims, put in as many as you want, because it's your body. So
it's like when I put in a claim, I won't say what it is, but like a certain claim, they came back and said
plastic surgery on your old fellow, mate. That you can't.
I needed a reduction. That was the issue, mate, and I'm very embarrassed about it, to be honest. Then they came back and said, hey, you had all these injuries when you were in the army. Stuff I forgot about.
Yeah.
Like, go and get this checked out. But straight away I was like, well, you're trying to push this out, aren't you? But they're actually being like,
wait, you want
this to take 3 years.
Yeah. But really, they're like, hey, you've got injuries. You can probably claim stuff. I forgot about them completely. But
I remember when we were left, like we got told, like, put your DDA claims in. I think I called them once and I tried to get the ball rolling, and it just seemed like way too much. It was like,
same.
Yeah,
I was like, I can't be bothered. Because back then we were like early 20s.
Well, and that's the thing. I wish I'd done claims throughout the years.
Yeah.
Because I was always like, I'm not going to go to the doctor. I'm the tough guy.
Yeah,
blah,
that's
blah,
it.
blah. And then all of a sudden, I can't stand up.
Yeah.
And they're like, you haven't been to the doctor, so you're fine. It's like, well, no. But yeah,
Because once you understand that, you know, especially while you're still in, all you do is you get the liability for the injury accepted.
Yeah.
It goes no further. You're not going to get any money or anything
Yeah.
like that. But DVA's recognised that it's an injury that's resulted from a service with, with defence. So then, like, over the year of your career, like, all these things will build up. And then when you're ready to get out, that's when you like, yep, sweet, you do it all at once and get it over and done with. And you've already done the hard yards of getting it accepted.
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing. Because now we're all waiting. But if whereas an injury occurred, if you put it in, when it comes to time to leave, like med discharging or leaving the army in general, it'd all be sorted. But I just wanted to ask, because I'm pretty sure police don't have a DVA equivalent, do you?
No.
Is that...
No.
So what happens, like,
cops.
mental health-wise with police and...
Well, we're still figuring all that out. You know, like, all we have is for injuries is work cover.
Yep.
You know, but it's not. I always thought it would be set up very similar to DVA. You know, particularly with the mental health stuff, because I've been exposed to way worse shit in the police than I ever was in the military. You know, but I don't know what they're planning for the future. But at the moment, it's all you really got for injuries is you know, you get injured, put a work cover claim in.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Which is kind of
your
like
injury notification in on your shift, and then
which is kind of how it operates in the civilian world.
Exactly.
It's exactly the same. Civilian world.
Exactly.
But that's
the
pretty
same
shitty because police, ambos, fireys use a subject to way more stresses than what I am on a day-to-day basis. And it's ridiculous that you aren't... You looked after through work cover.
Yeah.
But we got Department of Veteran Affairs. Well, I don't understand why there's not... Or why no one said, why isn't there a department of
I don't know, like
affairs?
Money.
Probably. It's probably like from who's funded it, maybe because probably, this is just me guessing, so I'm probably completely wrong here, but, you know, defence is obviously...
We usually are.
Oh, we usually are. You don't come in for your science or your facts, that's for sure. Defence is obviously, you know, a federal thing. I'd say every... you know, like QPS is run by Queensland, and you've got New South Wales Police, so everyone probably has their own, you know, system, whereas defence is federal, so they have one system on how to do things.
Does the police, do you have like unions?
Yeah, we've got police union. Again, the last maybe 2 years, I think mental health has been brought up a lot more. Individual stations are getting good at looking after their staff. You know, if someone goes to a critical incident or they recognise that someone's having a rough time, then they're looked after. You know, they're given sick leave or whatever they need to do.
Yeah, awesome. Which, because like from when I first joined the Army in 06 to now, the difference between...
I bet,
Like them looking after us, with like not only just physical injuries, but mental health. Like 20 ED, the hierarchy there, I couldn't be happier with. And I feel like my mental... I shouldn't have got to that stage if when I was at my unit in Sydney, because I was drinking, I was going downhill. If someone had gone, why are you acting like this, mate? Like, and like spoken to me, but no, I actually got bastardized because of that drinking and stuff. And I got shunned because of that. But like really, now I look back on it, I'm like, if someone had just pulled me aside and gone, hey man, like let's have a chat, let's talk about this shit, I wouldn't have got to the stage where I was at the end of last year. So 20 ED has been amazing, and like I know you went through something similar, like in that realm of things. And how was 20 with you?
Yeah, dude, the same. Like the way that instead of, I think, when someone does have an issue, be it physical or mental, a lot of times you kind of just get separated purely because they think they got to wrap you up in cotton wool, or because of the way injuries work, you'll end up with a chip, which means you can't do certain things, you can't go to field, you can't continue to be gainfully employed. Whereas the approach that our unit took was to keep us gainfully employed, and especially with mental health issues, is one of the best things, because it's you're not losing your sense of being able to contribute and still being a productive member. So one of the big issues I think with mental health is like they're so quick, so many different not industries, but I guess units or whatnot, and perhaps more so in the past, are very quick to like pull you out of it, because obviously for some people that is the right thing, because there's a lot of stresses, and it might be a lot more volatile or sensitive, where that may be the necessary steps required. But I think for a lot of things. Like you just gotta like our unit did is communicate with us. What do you need? This is what we can do to help you, and then go from there. So I think that's been a really good model for our unit with people who've had mental health issues, is being able to put them into the training certification cell to help out and developing, and staying productive. It's been great.
And I wish, because a younger me, if someone was injured, I would feed them. I would. You linger, get out there. I've got a bloody 3 broken toes and I'm out packing marching 20
like
Ks.
the culture.
It was the culture. It was the culture.
That's how we were kind
and
of
now
told.
I look back at it and I'm like, oh.
But I mean, we still.
If
do.
I was like,
we kind of still do that, but it's a good natured bar.
But there were always those guys where.
No, there was those guys that you're like, I know. There was always one guy that would, the day of bush, he would be injured.
Yep.
Like he'd kick his toe on a tyre while we're at the parade ground waiting to go. He'd be like, oh, I broke my toe. And you're like, oh.
I remember,
what?
I won't say his name, but I remember didn't want to go outfield and threw himself down the stairs.
What?
Well,
I don't remember this.
I'll tell you about what's going on here.
Must have been drunk.
No, you were fine after that.
It was you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wish, now looking back, I definitely would have changed.
Yeah.
Because I fed some people.
Yeah.
I can't even actually say it on camera, but there's some things we did to some people that were bad.
Yeah.
But that was the culture. That was, and if I ever got injured, people would do the same to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. And which is why, you never wanted to admit if you had an injury. Or if you're having a rough time, because I'm just going to get made fun of, whatever, or pushed to the side.
Yeah.
Anytime you were legitimately injured, as you would know, it's the worst experience because, they do take you off to the side and you have to watch everyone else doing everything and you just feel, and they probably aren't even talking about it.
We had a troop in Townsville. It's called Dingo Troop, because Dingo's a 3CR mascot. And it was all the broken people. So all the broken people got put into this one troop, which was, and the boss was a PTI. Yeah. But they didn't have any stores or anything, so they didn't have to do any non-techs. But then they'd be like, oh, we're not helping use non-tech. We're injured. It's like, no, you can help us. Yeah. And they were put, separated like that. And we ended up hating them. I
remember what was our one called back in 6? And they didn't really have them do anything but it was LinkedIn. It was they were just in PT gear. It's they didn't give the guys anything constructive to do. Yeah. So they were just always sweeping the footpaths. Yeah. Do you remember that? It was so sad.
It's a definite mismanagement of
I'm assuming it's not like that now, but this is when going back.
But this is what they've got now. They've got coffee shops for the broken people.
Oh, that's what they were doing.
Yeah, qualifications.
Qualifications for barista courses.
But if I just say this year or last year, while I've been injured, 20 AD was like, hey, Crowe, you're gonna stand there and you're gonna serve coffees. I would have. There's my discharge. I didn't join the army to serve coffee. I wouldn't be able to handle that.
I think if it's an option,
if I left the army and became a barista,
I think
that's
fine.
It's
good to have
that.
Exactly. I think it's great to have that as an option. You know, especially if someone's looking at discharging and they're not quite sure what to do. Hey mate, we can get you a brisk cushion and practice doing stuff here. Yeah. But that's a great option to have in your back pocket. But for someone like ourselves, fuck that. I still want to be involved with the training. I want to help out with the training. And because there's nothing.
You still want to be around the guys.
Because even if it's just a physical injury, it then starts to become, leading into mental health issues because you're getting not intentionally, but through some inadvertent mismanagement, you're getting ostracized from your team.
And it could even just be it could be your mates, and they're just making sly, comical remarks. Yeah. But over time,
if that's you see that every morning, as soon as I go down there, Yeah.
It does wear you down, and that was a big part of my mental health, was being injured. Yeah. That was because I couldn't do the job, and my job in Sydney, that was it was an awesome job. I was jumping out of planes, even though I hate that. I was fast roping. I was doing it was just the coolest stuff. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you're broken, you can't do it. Yeah. And I even burnt out mentally, because I was burnt out mentally down there. I asked to leave. And they said, well, you can send you to Brisbane, which is great because most of my family's here.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that actually really worked out well. I've been looked after with my career.
Yeah.
In that regards, like I've always had good postings and everything like that. So yeah, so I've been pretty happy.
You mentioned like using mindfulness before. Is there any other techniques that you've learned, or where did you pick up the mindfulness?
So I learned mindfulness at Belmont Private.
Okay. Yeah.
As part of the course there. One of the courses, but I sort of got most of my therapy from the other patients there in the smokers area.
Yep.
That's where all the work gets done.
Yeah.
Like, if anyone's watching, there is no smokers area at Belmont Private because that's state rules.
Yeah.
You can't have a smokers area, but there was a place where we'd all sneak away and have it. But you just sit there talking to it and hear other people's stories and how they deal with stuff, and that's where I learnt most of my stuff. Not the courses. I was sitting there doing an addictions program, and I'm literally surrounded by people like addicted to meth and like in all this, and I was like, this isn't me. I'm not, like, why am I here? Like, this is ridiculous. And then so I stopped sort of paying attention because I was like, this isn't for me. I'm just here now because someone's told me to do it. And then if you got a bad instructor, which one of them was, like I literally would be like, he was so horrible. And then I had him for 2 weeks, and at the end of every day, I'd be angrier because it seemed like he didn't know what he was talking about. And I just wanted to get up and teach the lesson to myself.
So I suppose, I that might be like compounded, I guess, then by the fact that you're feeling, I guess, a little bit isolated from the rest of the patients because you didn't have that commonality. I've had like other army guys and things.
I did, however, get addicted to iced coffees. I swapped one addiction to iced coffees, and I put on 20 kilos.
Oh, Jesus.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. I've lost 15 since July.
That's a good effort.
But I got to 110 kilos this year.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Should have seen me. It was all belly too.
Oh,
but the food there was mess food.
So really good.
Oh. But yeah. A question I wanted to ask you. I wanted to ask you all day, but I thought I'd wait till this. And this doesn't have to do with mental health.
That's really good. It's a pomade.
With what's happening in America at the moment,
Yep.
and the hate for police,
Yep.
do you notice a change in difference between people treat you here in Australia?
At first, when it first happened, there was a little bit. Like in the area I work in, we've had some protests about certain issues that have been ongoing.
I don't recognise your authority.
Yeah. So when it first happened, there's always like people who would try to bring those issues here.
Yep.
You know, and the stuff they were yelling at us didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
You know, like I've said earlier today, like it has been a tough year for cops. You know, especially with like when the COVID restrictions are on, we were given the role to enforce certain things, you know.
Yeah.
And apart from doing the jobs we'd normally go to, which never slowed down, in fact, it felt like everything increased. We then had this new role where people were ringing up going, oh, I can see 3 people in a park. They don't look like they're just exercising.
Yeah.
Then where you can only leave to exercise.
Yeah.
So apart from trying to do all the other jobs, we're then going down to the park going, hey, mate, like, you need to go for a jog or something. Like, you know, and then go back to the other jobs and someone else would ring up. So that's been hard. But yeah, with the stuff that's happened in America, every now and then you'll get like a little group of people that want to try to bring that up with you or act like you're an American police officer and that you've just shot a whole bunch of people. And you're like,
because every cop here shoots people.
Yeah, that's what you feel like going, mate, name the last person a QPS officer shot. You can't, can you? You can't, you know?
Yeah.
But they act like they've painted us all with the same brush.
Well, that's what I've disliked about this whole situation, is that 99.9% of police are good. You always have good interactions with them, unless you're drunk, unless you're on drugs, unless you beat your missus. 99% of your interactions are good. But then there's 1%, like I can't remember the dude's name, with George Floyd.
Yeah.
And that's that one bad thing happened, and then all of a sudden,
with any industry, like you're always going to have people who, you know,
well, as the term AJs, army jerks,
army jerks, you know?
Because everyone in the army cheats on their missus and sleeps with your partner's friend.
Yeah. Why'd you look ashamed then?
It's a must-have.
But yeah, like it has been a tough year for cops, and we have felt a little bit of that out on the road, but generally, and like you said, with all coppers that I know, when we're talking to someone, like you dictate how our interaction's going to be.
Yeah.
Like we always start off friendly or whatever, but then there are just people who hate cops, and no matter what you do, they're just going to hate cops.
Well,
they're those people that don't wear shoes in the valley.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That post that copper, I think it was a New South Wales copper put out, and it was essentially a bit of a blog post about how he broke down his day and how, you know, they had to they only had, I think, 3/4 of a second to get to each job to be able to, in order to harass everyone in their local community.
Oh, yeah, I remember that, yeah.
Fucking brilliant.
Yeah, that's right. And that's the other thing, like when general duties, you go to so many different types of jobs, and if you've been in for a while, like it does drag you down a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
It takes an emotional toll. But when you're going to a job, I think I've said this before, Shane, like the person you're talking to doesn't know what you have just experienced.
Yeah.
You know, like
You could have just come from a car accident where 3 people have died, and then you're going to a completely new job where it's something completely
He
different.
won't turn his music down.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
recently, I won't say what the job was, but I went from like this critical job to having to go back to the station and talk to someone that had come in at the front counter about something that wasn't that urgent. But I remember coming back, washing the blood off my hands, and then going out and dealing with this thing that wasn't that urgent. Meanwhile, I'm still thinking about the thing I was just doing 45 minutes before.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, fuck, this isn't normal. You know, if only this person knew what I wasn't just sitting out in the back, you know, drinking a coffee, like
Beating someone in the
Playing
cell.
cards,
Yeah.
playing cards on Facebook.
Yeah, like I've had quite a day, mate. What I would say. I've had quite a day. The last hour's been.
So how do you unwind then at the end of the day? Just say you've had a hectic day, like you just said you had to wash blood off. You have a hectic day. How do you unwind?
Because it takes me about 35 minutes to get home. So I will either listen to a podcast or I'll listen to music.
Do you listen to your own podcast?
Exclusively.
Exclusively. And I try to drain Shane's voice out, so I only listen to my own voice.
You've got your own editing software. You've cut me out.
Shane doesn't know this, but sometimes I'll just record in here by myself. No, like I'll listen to anything. And I know that drive.
Oh, great one, Tommy.
Yeah, that's me. I'm like, you're at it again. I know while I'm doing it, you know, I'll put on music, but I know why I'm doing it. While I'm doing it. Another thing I've got back into recently is reading before bed, because I've had issues with sleeping recently, and I'm like, fuck, you know, I've tried everything else. Meditation apps, you know, they do help me, but I thought rather than playing on my phone before going to bed, reading, and that's helped me. But then there's the other things too, not a direct wind down after a shift, but on my days off. You know, go play sport or go train, hang out with people who aren't cops. Just you know, get back to doing things that aren't work related at all.
Normal.
Yeah, like a normal human being.
I think that's like such a key to like longevity within like emergency services and in defence, is having something separate from work.
Yeah.
If you can find something like that you know gets you out of bed as well. Not only will it help you, like, you know, keep work fresh and like not as monotonous, but it also gives you something to look forward to and delve more into once you are out and have more time for it.
I like even little things like not wearing a uniform home, getting changed into civics,
straight away.
just so I can delineate between work and home.
That's a good idea.
And that even that little things like doing that every day. I don't actually know if it does anything, but I feel like now that I'm talking about it, it does something.
It has to, you know. I've worked with a few first years recently who've only been in the job, you know, a couple of weeks, if not only a few months. One of the first things I ask when I'm in the car is like, do you have any hobbies? And, you know, if they tell me if they have any hobbies, and then I'll always say like, cool, keep it up. Make sure, you know, you do something outside of this job.
Yeah.
I think that was a big problem with me. I didn't have any hobbies. I literally lived and breathed work.
Yes.
My hobbies were gambling and drinking. That was obviously not good for me.
And usually drinking's always associated with work, so because you're drinking with the same people you work
so like
with.
boozer parades and stuff, like we used to have before COVID, boozer parade every Thursday or whatever it was. I'm that type of guy that can't have 2 beers. I have 2 beers. I'm like, we're going till 5 in the morning. Let's do it. I think Cluppy and I have done that once.
Yeah.
I don't doubt that.
But yeah.
It's probably good we weren't working in the same trip when you rocked up.
Yeah.
Actually, Logie did well, I think, to keep us separated and keep you busy.
Yeah.
Keep us
We'd
both
see
busy.
each other those times at Mitch's place.
Yeah.
Playing bocce, drunken bocce.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh.
Awkward silence.
Yeah, I was like, that hasn't happened in a long time.
It's like panic mode too.
Yeah, I was like,
Literally none of us
Radio
know what to
silence.
say.
I thought you were going to say something.
That's what I was going to.
Oh, it's sort of
Like the new studio, same professional.
mate. Look, we just had a massive feed of KFC. We're all a little bit
I
doughy.
feel super fat. I've just put on that
mate.
20 kilos I've lost.
The kernel's too good though. So moving into the future for you now,
Yes.
like you've let go of, you seem to have let go of the military side a fair bit of you. Like
Yeah.
since I'm meeting you like a short period of time today, you don't come across as like your typical AJ to me.
Well-
so I'd assume since you lived and breathed work, you would have at one point.
Literally all I talked about, all I did was work.
Yep.
Like my whole life was work.
Yep.
And now that I've let go of that side of me, it's like all this weight's off my shoulders, like my back's fine again. No, my back's not fine. I feel so much better, like especially my mental health.
Yeah.
I think it's time for a new chapter for me, and that's once I've made that decision, it's time to move on. Oh, it's been amazing.
Yep.
I can't wait to leave the army now.
Yeah.
And I still want, the thing is, I don't want to be one of those people that leaves when they're jaded with the military.
Yeah.
I still like the job. I still like everything about it. But I'm just ready to go. By the time I leave, so it'd be just under 15 years, which is enough time in the military for anyone.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Probably
a
too
time.
long for some people.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's definitely too long for me, I think. So the new chapter moving forward, I don't know what I'm going to do with my rest of my life. Still working that out. I know what I'm going to do for the next 6 months to a year, and that's and that's my trip. This next 6 months to a year trip is a mindfulness trip. That's all it's about.
Yeah.
Is mindfulness, finding out who I am, finding out what I like. I might find a place where I love to live, and I'll be like, you know what, I'm going to live here.
Have you got a missus?
Yeah,
How long have you been with her?
a year.
Okay, yeah. Because I was going to ask whether has she seen this change?
So I knew her years ago when I was down in Sydney.
Yep.
But she lived in Brisbane, I lived in Sydney, so it didn't really work out. But she knew me when I was like fit and like muscly and good looking and young, and I had heaps of money then. And now that I'm with her, I'm fat, old, and broke. But yeah, so she got to see that transformation. What is concerning? She said. She thinks I've changed, but she doesn't know if I've changed for the better. I feel like I have.
Oh, really?
But yeah.
In what way?
Not change for the better, but like, I think now, because I'm still my brain still goes a million miles an hour.
Do you have ADHD?
I don't know. Probably.
Yeah.
Are you going to make a diagnosis here?
Oh, no. No, I was just curious, because, you always seem like someone who's like, you constantly have to fucking do something.
That's literally why I carry this notepad around, because I'm fucking always got to do something.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people that starts 900 different things but never finishes anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I just don't. I think now, because I've changed, she knew who I was then.
Yeah.
And now I'm a different person now. Like now, I never really cared about the future before.
Yeah.
I just lived in the moment.
Yeah.
Fuck, if I spend all my money, I spend all my money.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
I get paid again in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Now I'm very focused.
I've got a stockpile of rat packs, I'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. Which I do.
You're not even. You're not even kidding right now.
He eats them at bloody work.
Oh,
If it's sitting there on the bench, I'm not going to let it go to
fucking
waste.
psychopath.
But now I'm very focused for the future. Like,
Yep.
I just want to set myself
It's
up.
probably just.
I don't want to work in 10 years, 15 years.
Yeah.
I'd love to be able to sit back and like still have money rolling in, like from like a business I set up or whatever, and not have to bloody work, because I really just want to live a mindfulness life. Like it's that spirituality, like that spiritual side of things I was saying before, is I'd really just want to be relaxed and calm, because my whole life so far hasn't been relaxed and calm.
Yeah.
And now I'm sort of like, because I've got an addictive personality, sort of getting addicted to like the relaxedness
well.
and that calmness.
It's a good thing to be
especially like
addicted
COVID,
to.
where I didn't go to work for like that 2 months
Yeah.
for COVID, I was like, whew, how good is this? So, yeah, that's what's happening.
Well, for your missus saying that, I reckon it's probably...
No, I probably worded
It's
that
just
wrong.
a change.
It is a change.
And she's just not used to seeing you like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think, personally, I've become a better person. This year I've grown a whole heap. But yeah, it is a change. I'm not because I am a different person to the person she fell in love with.
Yeah.
But to me, I'm a better person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us about the podcast you're going to do.
It's called The Wandering Digger.
That's two. That's two now.
Next one costs you.
It's very similar to this. It's around veteran mental health. As I said before, I want to help where I can.
Yep.
And if that's just putting information out there
Yeah.
by hearing people's stories, by speaking to people from all walks of life. Because I'm going to be doing it while travelling. I don't know what to do with my hands. I also want to talk to other travellers from around the world, other backpackers. I want to, when I'm travelling in the middle of nowhere, go speak to 80-year-old people who own farms and see what type of life they've had. And that's literally, because at worst case, I learned things about people.
Yeah.
And if one person gets some information that they didn't have before, then my job's done.
Yeah.
But very similar to this.
Yeah, man, I'm really looking forward to listening to a professional podcast
Finally.
on
Someone can show us how to do it properly.
Finally.
Yep. But that's good. This goes back to what we're saying, that, invest in things outside of not just your comfort zone, but what you're used to.
Find
Military
what you
or
like to fuck
police.
with.
Find what you like to fuck with. If you're gonna talk to people from a whole bunch of different walks of life, that's gonna be not just interesting, but you'll learn things as well.
Yeah, and I'd love to go over to Europe and buy a van and deck that out and travel that for a year.
Yeah.
Same as America. Got to convince the missus though, because I think she sort of wants kids and stuff.
Plenty of time, mate. Plenty of time.
But you can have a kid in a van.
A lot of people do.
As long as it doesn't say
people do.
free candy, then. But yeah, sorry, it came out really wrong.
That's good. That's good. Help me out here, Shane.
Hi.
So, what are you doing next with the maladjusted monkeys? Where do you see yourself going?
God. Well, now we've got all this fancy new equipment.
We'll probably do another episode in about 6 months.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to. Yeah. What's the idea I've had ages ago? I want to go and try different activities or something.
Get out and about.
Record a podcast episode somewhere different, and then maybe try an activity.
Yeah.
That people suggest. If anyone listening or watching has ideas of activities we can try that help them with coping with anything or their own mental health.
Yeah,
me and Shane will give it
we've had a
crack.
lot of different idees over the last few years since we started this. Still things that we really want to do. I think the biggest barrier for the both of us are our current jobs.
Yeah.
I'm looking at fucking 8 months away from home next year. With just 2 courses.
Jesus.
Yeah. And then trying to schedule stuff between my schedule, his schedule. So, obviously we aren't, we're not going to be, I think for the time being, we'll try and, keep this rolling, keep getting, interesting guests on, that are able to tell their stories and stuff. But I imagine, in the coming years as, because I've said to Madison and to Tommy and other people that I don't still want to be in the army when my kid hits primary school. I'm not going to force them to travel around, change schools and stuff like that. I know I can work, but for me that's not what I want to put them through. So I think once we hit that point where we've kind of freed up a bit of our time, we'll start doing some of those more interesting ideas.
Yeah, it's funny because not that long ago, Shane hit a point. We were on the phone, and I just had a feeling.
It was coming.
It had a feeling that something was up, that he wanted to tell me something. Because I was trying to plan our next podcast episode, and he's like, "Hey, look, what do you really want to keep doing with the podcast?"
Yeah.
Because you said something like, "Because in terms of my mental health, I'm pretty good now." And I remember laughing. I'm like, "Yeah, okay." And then I had to remind him, like, this isn't about us. It's not about you. It's not about me. There's a lot of people, because he doesn't look at our social media or anything. I see all the comments, I get all the messages and everything. Madison
Because he's
sees
too
it.
busy playing World of Warcraft or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So I said there's a whole bunch of people that watch and listen that appreciate even just our catch-up episodes, you know. Even if there's not much going on, they just appreciate things we talk about.
Yeah.
And we seem to be helping people as well. So
And isn't that the best thing? If you can help like one person.
Yeah. No,
Like-
100%. Like at that point, I was going through more,
Are you looking at monetizing the maladjusted
I'm not really, no.
monkeys?
No.
he says
You
this
too
now.
rich, as you are? Got too much money?
My concern is tying things up in money can complicate things. I think there are definitely like sponsors and stuff that we could do, but like career-wise, I think we're both going to have full-time jobs and things like that. Where I don't kind of foresee this becoming a full-time job. It's going to be something that we just do out of a love and a passion for it. And like I'd like to monetize it, not necessarily for our own gain, but to potentially do like things like 42 for 42, things like that that come up. Like things we've talked about. Yeah, Movember.
This is
actually going
I'm into
down.
it, boys.
Actually,
You haven't even. I'm a little annoyed.
I
you
missed
haven't
that.
said it. Movember, mate. What do you think I'm growing?
If you can't see it on the
Holy
camera,
shit, I
it's
didn't
because
even
we
notice
can't
that.
see it.
Well, I'm very offended.
Oh wow! Oh wow! No,
Are
it's
you,
good.
are you going to shave yours off for it?
No,
To start again? No?
I'm quite happy not looking like I'm 12. But so like we got 42 for 42 coming up soon. Our units are going to be running around in a bomb suit for 42 hours, like just swapping in and out. But like we've spoken about like going to events like that, recording a podcast, and like potentially live streaming it and things like that. I think hopefully we'll be able to get more time to do that.
Is there ways
in the
that you can like do a podcast? Like the army does open days and stuff like that. Can you
that's
do
what I mean. Yeah, things like that.
I think we've been talking about moving into that for a while, but we just didn't have the equipment. But now we're in a pretty
But
good.
now look at it; it's got bright lights.
I'm very impressed.
I
Good
know,
work, Shane.
I need to like these. So all these buttons, you probably can't see it. We obviously can't see it, but we need to put sound effects and shit on it.
What type of sound effects are you going to have?
Well, if anyone has any ideas of how we can expand the podcast or where we can record, please let us know and invite us out.
But it really, it always ends up coming back to a time issue.
Yeah.
We're just not very.
But we love doing this.
Yeah.
And that's at the end of the day. If you love doing it, it's not work, is it? It's
Yeah, I think that's the other thing as well. Is like like I think maybe even just naturally, if we tried to monetize it,
it becomes work.
It becomes work.
Yeah,
it becomes
more pressure.
Yeah, and then maybe inadvertently, like slowly, it starts to become something else because we might try and make a living off of it or something like that. Whereas now, if so long as we're doing it for passion and for the right reasons.
So does Madison? Does she do the social media side? Or
No, Tommy
does.
Me and her do it. She does a better job at it.
Yeah.
But because she's heavily pregnant, look, I'll let it slide. Okay.
I wanted to ask you something cloppy, but I forgot, so don't worry.
Okay, good. I won't.
You said you didn't want to be in the army when your kid hits primary school.
Yeah.
I really think that's a great idea because one, I've been away from my daughter now.
Yeah.
2014, I moved away, so that's 6 years. I haven't lived near my daughter.
Yeah.
I get this, and especially when I went through my major depressive, when I was drinking and everything.
Yeah.
I was the most deadbeat dad. I didn't I realised I was, but I was shit.
Yeah.
To the point where I wouldn't call her for a few days, and then I'd be like, I haven't spoken to her. She's going to be angry with me, so I don't call her.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I hadn't spoken to her in 3 weeks, and then I'll be like, oh, no, I was out bush.
Yeah.
But I wasn't out bush, and that's how deadbeat dad. But it wasn't even because I was drinking and I was I just was going down a bad path in life. And this year, my daughter and I have not been closer.
Yeah,
we
that's
text
great.
daily.
How old is she again?
She's 11. She's turned 12. She's starting her own business, and so we're constantly talking about that.
What? At 11?
Yeah, it's called Sassy Beauty.
Sassy Beauty. What is it? What's Sassy Beauty?
It's lip gloss and lip.
Do we get
Scrub?
discounts or?
Sure. She's making it herself, her own recipes and everything. She's got her own. She's doing up her own artwork. She's got her own business
Bloody
cards,
hell.
her own everything. we just sat down one day because she wanted to jump straight into it, which is like what I like doing, just jumping straight in, doing it for 2 weeks and then changing my mind. Because
She's got her own business at 11.
She's...
Kids these days.
At 11, I was throwing ice-cream container lids and pretending they were boomerangs on the school oval. That's just Calabar Primary.
I was kicking the footy near the plovers so other people would have to go get it. So no, she's doing really well. She literally works on it every day.
Man.
Wow.
And because so I gave her a phone this year. I was telling you the story before. She wants an iPhone 11.
Yep.
You're not getting one.
But what did you make her do in order to...
So COVID, we were homeschooling. So I had it for the few months, because her mum had to work. So we flew her down and she was studying or learning persuasive writing. So I was like, all right, if you can write an essay and persuade me to buy you an iPhone 11, then I'll buy you an iPhone 11. She was never getting it. So I just kept handing it back saying, look, you need to work on it, these reasons, these reasons, these reasons. So like 6 or 7 copies later, she still wasn't getting it, but her persuasive writing was getting better. So my partner has an iPhone 11, so I put an iPhone 6 in the iPhone 11 box and wrapped it. I said, for being an awesome daughter, here you go. She starts crying, pure happiness, and she's like, I love you so much. And I was like, oh no. Oh no.
I've gone too far.
Yeah, I was. Once I realised how happy she was and then she opened it, she didn't talk to me for like a day. But yeah.
I can't wait to be a dad.
I do things all the time, we'll be just walking down the street and I'll just start dancing and singing and she is absolutely embarrassed of me, but I love doing it.
That's the best part.
Yeah.
Can't wait, eh?
Like I would say things all the time, like, what do you mean you pissed your pants? Which I don't know if you should say that to an 11-year-old girl, but yeah.
But look, she'll grow up to be resilient.
Well, yeah, exactly. And she is an only kid. And look, if she's 11 and got her own business, then I think she's made more sales than me this year with my online business. So,
what's your online business?
Oh, I tried. Have you ever heard of the thing called drop shipping?
What?
Drop shipping.
No.
This sounds like something you like. Is this scat related?
I don't know what, like poo, scat?
Yeah.
No. Like drop shipping.
Stop bringing the podcast down, Shane.
Drop shipping is a way to sell things without having to own any stock. So I went and speak to suppliers who I just say I sell swags. I don't, but
Okay.
I sell swags, but I go to like King's, whatever the fuck they're called.
Yeah.
You know the swag people who make the swags.
Yeah.
I say, hey, I want to sell your product, but when the customer places an order with me, I send the order to you. You send it straight to them.
I'm so confused.
It's huge.
Holy
shit!
Huge. So I guess it's like for people who don't understand how the internet operates, or
so look, so you know, like how many things do you buy? You know, like Wish or Catch or whatever. That's essentially drop shipping. Most websites you go on today is drop shipping.
Really? Oh, okay.
Most people don't even own. They don't have.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Okay.
So they just send the order. They have their own website.
Yeah. Right.
And then when someone orders it, they go, can you send it? And that boom, put in the order to them. And yeah, so Shopify costs $30 a month. That's your website. Then you do your advertising, and you just find your suppliers, email them like, hey, would you want to work with us doing this? And yeah.
So you're still doing that?
No. Yes and
it's
no.
been 2 weeks.
I've still got the websites. Yeah, it did last 2 weeks. So I had $1,000 advertising budget, and I was like, oh, that's heaps, because I was like, everyone's like, oh, if you spend $10 a day, that's enough. Somehow I spent $1,000 in 3 days. Because everything like advertising, it costs people. You have to pay every time someone clicks on your ad, even if they don't buy something. But that's like any Facebook ads or Instagram ads or whatever. Yeah, and I don't know how I stuffed up, but I spent $1,000 in 3 days, and I was like,
yeah, this is another reason why we're not monetizing the podcast.
Yeah. Well, if we did, Madison would have to be in control of it.
Yeah.
How long
and then I started another business with 2 mates. That lasted like 4 days, I think. It's called JJ Adams Designs.
At least you're trying new things, Crowe.
Man, I've tried about 300 things this year. So I got a mate, Jack, who was my best mate, who called the paramedics. So he because he got med discharged, and then I got another mate who got med discharged. Both like physical and mental problems. Jack's like, oh, when I leave, so we went and bought like 15 grand's worth of fucking tools and stuff, and he's like, I'm going to build stuff out of timber, and I was like, sweet. My mate Adam, he's a fitter turner by trade, and he loves like building, welding metal stuff, and I was like, sweet. Well, I bought a computer so I can sell this stuff. And so I was like, sweet. I got a couple of orders in, so I started like a Facebook page and started advertising. And got a couple of orders in, and then I spoke to them and I was like, hey, you ready to build? And they're like, no. I was like, oh.
Shit.
Yeah, great. Yeah. So like in the first day, we had like 4,500 people view the Facebook page.
Holy shit.
And yeah.
Just better than ours.
Yeah.
Christ.
And I was like,
Joel,
and so I was like, can you, Adam, can you build this? It's like a 6'4" plant stand, this big like thing. And I was like, yeah, can you build one of them? Because someone wanted one. And he's like, yeah, about 3 months you can have it. I was like, oh, shut down. Abort. I still haven't shut it down, but I literally have new likes and saves every day, and I'm like, so yeah. But yeah, I do have a 2-week thing. I've got a 2-week fucking span of interest, but the podcast has lasted longer than the idea for the podcast has lasted longer than that.
When will the podcast be up and running, you reckon?
Oh, I want to do an episode in Townsville on the 20th of November.
Okay.
I've got a friend up there. I've got a friend up there who's left the army. I was his secco, and he loved drones, so we started the army drone racing team.
Oh, well.
And then he ended up having Australia's fastest drone, and he's done like all this contract work for like other things, but he started his own company with $900 worth of stock, and his company's done 170 grand this year. He's the 5th largest drone website in Australia.
Get on that, Shane.
So I had a couple of hour chat with him last week, looking at buying into his company, because his company's gone up like 880% this year.
Jesus.
So
yeah.
So I'm thinking of like putting in some money there, and
if he wants more investors, let me know.
God.
Yeah. So I want to chat with him for a couple of hours. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Well, mate, as soon as you get your podcast up and running, let us know.
The Wandering Digger.
We'll give you a shout out when it's on.
$10.
Thank you.
We'll even come on, mate, and, boost your profile a little bit.
How many followers, listeners do you have?
Man, I don't look at numbers.
Yeah.
It's just,
I got no idea.
Oh, mate, well, I don't know listeners exactly, but like every day we're constantly getting downloads on like our old episodes. Like the first episodes are getting
It's
run
me,
through.
because I listen to a whole
It's just
bunch
constantly
before,
going through. But yeah, it's growing. Remember, just like, share, subscribe. Get the page out there, guys. Please help us out. Why am I leaning into this mic? I don't even need that. Joel, thanks for coming on, man.
Worries.
Thanks for sharing your story.
Thank you.
And mate, we're the Maladjusted Monkeys. Until next time.
And I'm the Wandering Digger.